Welcome, everyone. I think the first thing to do is to introduce you to Chris Holmes. Chris has been, he is the founder and principal of Holmes Coaching Group, and they train coaches. I believe it's Chilton, Bishop Chilton, who was the one who recommended the Holmes Coaching Group, and I believe that she herself has received her training through the Holmes Coaching Group and spoke very highly of them. Chris has been doing this work for nearly 20 years, right? Is that, well, 15 years, 15, 20 years, and has trained more than 1,000 coaches in that time, right? So I'd like to introduce you to Chris.
Great. Thank you, Jennifer. So I'm glad to be with you all. This is the down and dirty, quick overview of coaching. To help you know more about it and see if it's something that it scratches your itch and something you might be interested in. I'm in just outside of Washington, D.C. in Crofton, Maryland. Actually lived in Washington on Nebraska Avenue. I was a senior in high school, and then my dad was pastor of National Methodist Church there on Nebraska Avenue, and then been Maryland bound ever since. So I'm a United Methodist pastor. I've served churches across racial appointment. My first appointment in Baltimore City for 8 years in a mostly African-American church and context. And then for 17 years as a pastor in Crofton of the Community United Methodist Church, and got to ride that wave from a small church to a large church, and had a great time in ministry, and then was a district superintendent over 72 churches in Anne Arundel County, kind of mid-level judicatory type for 7 years. Got trained as a coach, and now this is what my mission is to bring the skills of coaching to clergy leaders. When I was going through the training, this light bulb went on for me that said, holy smokes, some of these skills can be really helpful to us in the church. And they're not new skills. These are, what happens in coach training is you take skills like being really present with people, deep listening, the ability to ask really good questions, to be provocative and really lean in as a truth teller with folks, and help them think through expanding possibilities and getting a plan. And then you get kind of pushy about getting stuff done. My gosh, we can talk about stuff in the church all day long, but coaching is about doing something, getting to the action. And so anyway, you have all of those skills. What happens in coach training, though, is that those come together kind of as a muscle group that you rely on as much as all of the other leadership ways you show up and you do. So anyway, that's me. I'm in Crofton. I'm interested in who you all are, and we'll just take a moment. We're not together for real long today, but I would love to hear just, I see your names, who you are and where you are serving, and some of you are lay, some of you are clergy. And one thing that you've learned this year about resilience. Will somebody get us started? Well, thank you. I'm glad to know who's on the call today. I want to say just a word about coaching, and then, I could talk about coaching all day long. You don't get it until you see it. So I want to do a coaching demonstration, and we'll learn that way today. But first, I want to make just a few comments that the reason I am a coach is because I believe it is the most expeditious way to come alongside capable leaders and to help them figure out a way forward. I think it's the most powerful way to bring about both personal and organizational transformation. And there are lots of other good ways to show up and be able to be helpful to people. I think for a long time, we thought if we just read the right book, we bought all those books on leadership and all this stuff, and thought, man, somebody's got to have the answer out here. And, I think we've learned the answers are not in some book, and it's not at some other parish. They don't hold your answers. And so it's not that easy, and it's more organic work. That's what coaching is, to come alongside folks with good questions and help them figure out from the inside, trusting their intuition, trusting the spirit, the movement of the spirit to, what the way forward would look like and what the steps are there. So, and it's different from other coaching modalities. After the demonstration, I'd like to just kind of delineate it a bit from consulting and counseling and mentoring and some of those other things. I'll just do that real briefly. But yeah, and Jennifer's already said that the program, the training that we do is vetted by the International Coach Federation, the standard bearer. You hear a lot of people who say, I'm a coach, and everybody's a coach. They may or may not have had coach training. And we're really, really proud that this program is one that is vetted and leads to professional credentialing. So let me leave off there. We'll come to questions in a minute. Let me demonstrate coaching. And this should be, probably will be fun. I'll say, I can't guarantee it. Probably be fun. And so consider if you would be willing to be my coaching client for about 10 minutes. And the question I have for you to consider is, what's something you have some of that you want more of? And it can't be money. Let's take money off the thing, because so think about that for just a moment. What's something you have some of, but you'd like some more of? And that you'd like just some laser 10 minutes of coaching on. Is there somebody who'll dance with me for a moment in this? Linda, oh, thank you. All right. So we just have the 10 minutes here. I'm all in to come alongside you. What's the thing?
I have confidence sometimes, and I lose track of it. I get my pins knocked out from under me, and I just don't have the confidence to do all the things that I think I would be able to do.
Yeah. What do you like what's different about you when you're confident?
When I am confident, I can stand up. I can convince almost anybody to do anything. When I have that sense of being grounded and powerful, I can do anything. And it's a remarkable thing. I mean, I had a job once where all I did was convince people to sign up for a campaign. And I honestly felt like electricity shot out my fingers all the time. I mean, it just was, I loved it. But I don't have that all the time. Yeah. And I don't expect that level of, sure, all the time.
Then what do you expect?
I expect not to throw out all of who I am when something upsets me or something makes me question who I am and whether I'm worthy.
Yeah. You get the pins knocked out from under you, as you say.
Yep.
Yeah, what's that image, pins? I'm not familiar with.
Well, I don't know. That's an interesting question. I have no idea. What it feels like is I just lose my bearings. I don't feel like I can stand up straight. I don't think I can, take a deep breath and have something to offer and to be. I forget. So
I usually don't do this in just a brief demo, but
what the heck?
Okay, you gave me so this is funky. Can we go funky for a minute?
Go.
All right. I'm going to ask you to stand up, and I'm going to stand up with you, so it's not like, hey, stand up. What this is to help you embody that confidence. So what's the posture of confidence? Can you just take the cost?
It's probably what I'm doing right now. Hands on my hips, feet a little bit far apart, so I can't be, knocked over. And I do have a little balance problem, so I'm aware of, how I stand. So it's firmly standing, and I probably do this.
You're taking up space.
Yes, I know.
I'm here.
Yep, I am.
Yeah.
And mostly, I remember that, but not always.
Is there a location for confidence in your body? Does it locate?
It's right here.
Whew. Okay. Okay, and flipping for a moment.
Yeah.
What is the posture of the antithesis of confidence, or that other thing that you experience?
My God, I just put my hands in my pockets. So not as much space. And, I think I probably wouldn't be standing up.
Okay.
I think that, I think I said that a number of times. I hadn't really thought about that, but as I was talking about it, standing in the confidence, and I do think it's a posture thing.
Ah.
That's an interesting realization that maybe standing up might help when I'm feeling unconfident.
Yeah, interesting. You mentioned a minute ago. You mentioned too. It's kind of hard to draw a breath because you're kind of hunched or bent or something like that. Mm-hmm. Wow, what a different contrast from this.
Yeah, I know.
You want to sit back down, or do you want to stay standing?
Well, I think I better sit back down. Yeah.
I think, yeah, I do hear in your soul that you want to be standing in terms of confidence. So, what did you learn from that little odd journey?
Well, it is interesting that that it seems to me, we started off with that resilience question, and it seems to me that part of my resilience might be standing up, might be riding my bicycle, might be claiming some strength instead of, how shall we say this, moping, feeling a little sorry for myself and weeping, So I think I think that the word standing really is a helpful image for me on how I can claim that. And it's also interesting to me that Zoom and preaching in a Zoom meeting is, I often preach seated because I'm, sitting on my Zoom. And I wonder how it would be different if I went back to my normal stance of preaching, which is standing.
Huh. Is that something you would like to experiment with, commit to doing for a trial period?
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, it's something that, next time I preach, I will stand up.
Okay. Is that a commitment? When's the next time you preach?
Probably not for a couple of weeks. I think the next time is the 21st to the 20th. Oh, wait a minute. No, Ash Wednesday I'll be preaching.
Oh, Ash Wednesday. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah. So on Ash Wednesday, I will stand to claim my power and deliver my message.
Okay. And what kind of accountability would be helpful to you to build in around that? Or do you just ordinarily follow through, or do you want to tell somebody or shoot somebody an email or what?
Yeah, I think I'll let the people know in the parish where I'm going to be preaching. The liturgy folks that they might have to move a little bit on. They should just pay attention when I stand up and try and, stay zoomed.
Okay.
Yeah.
And in this one small adjustment, really, of posture, what are you saying Let me think. Let me think for a moment of the question I want to ask. Okay, what are you saying yes to?
I'm saying yes to my own health and strength.
Way to claim it.
Yeah.
That's beautiful. Okay, Linda, thank you.
Chris?
I'm going to mute and hand it to Jennifer.
Sure. Thank you, Chris, and thank you, Linda, for being willing to engage in that. So Chris has demonstrated quite well a number of the coaching skills that I'm learning from him during our coaching training, which is what our coaches will be going through. I wondered whether here together, whether you all might reflect back, what did you see Chris do that would be different than from a regular conversation you might have with a colleague?
Inviting someone to stand up in the middle of it. And then I loved standing up with her also. Yeah.
And asking her, getting the information from her that she needed herself, but asking for it in a way that Linda could name it. He didn't he didn't tell her a different way to be confident. He just helped her discover her way.
Yes, those specific questions really honed in to where she needed to be for discovery. I found that powerful.
I think also the goal setting, the fact that he helped her set a goal, and then he helped her figure out how she was going to measure that goal. So that the goal came out of Linda's own experience and encouraged there to accountability, which is different than I would use when I'm talking necessarily in other contexts.
Beyond simply inviting Linda to stand, Chris also got her to name where it was that she was feeling that power. The hands on the hips, that motion, that was an embodied invitation as well.
There was a careful listening, an affirmative listening, but allowing space for her to do her thing. So, and mirroring back in some cases.
Linda, what did you notice that's different than a conversation you would normally have with someone?
So I think it was different. It was the level of listening, and then the asking questions that I hadn't really thought of. Where was the center of that power, and what stance, and and paying attention. I heard myself talking about standing, and it was, and I just had never thought of that, but it was really helpful to be invited to live into those things that I was saying that I hadn't really noticed. So
you all have so well identified many of the core skills or basic skills of coaching, and the approach of what coaching is, the assumption that we're all creative, resourceful, and whole, that it is within us, the answers, the possibilities are within us, as well as that sense of deep, deep listening, and that we're accompanying. And that's the kind of thing that we're asking for of our coaches, not in life coaching, which that was more of life coaching, but in congregational coaching. And you enter into that posture of deep listening to, in some ways, the soul of the institution through the people that you will be coaching. But also affirming, Chris also affirmed, the choices that Linda was making. Affirming that, from my theological perspective, is God has given us all that we need to be who we are called to be, right? And that's the stance that we wish our coaches to take in attending our soil, but that's not without accountability, right? It's not without that goal setting that will come from within that congregation, right? the coaching, I think, in tending our soil is a little bit different. There's a little different than just an independent coaching relationship. Do you mind if I go into this a little bit, Chris?
Whatever. Yes.
Is that there is a particular curriculum, you might say, that this Tending Our Soils will take congregations through. It will be a responsive curriculum, meaning it will respond to the needs as congregations identify needs that they have, that they to equip themselves to where they believe God is calling them. The initiative will respond to that. And there's also some accountability in we will be making some asks about some basic things that congregations will do in addition to those things that they identify. I'll say more about this particular role of coaches in the process, unless you want me to just continue with that, Chris, or would you like to pick up?
Sure, I'll pick up. Are you good with that?
Absolutely. Thanks.
Okay. So I'm glad you mentioned accountability, because that's a big piece of this, is that just asking the question, how would you like to be held accountable? We wouldn't do that with a friend or a colleague, but it's something we do in coaching. And oh my goodness, that's just once somebody commits to something and agrees to build in some accountability, usually if they write it down and share it with somebody, there's a 60% greater chance they're actually going to follow through. So that's part of the starch that comes with coaching, is just asking that question. I could tell from very early on that Linda's spirit, I just picked up that she's gamey, like this can be, she's willing to go there. So I wouldn't, or it's the first time I've ever done a stand up, anything that deep with body work in coaching, but I was listening to my intuition and kind of following Linda's spirit. I will also say that I was doing a great deal of self-management in that. I was managing my own brilliance about what I thought Linda could do. And that will be the hardest thing for you, because we all bring that. And in fact, Linda, at the end, I wanted to have you click your Wonder Woman bracelets together, and cause that thing. But that's me, that yeah. And what we say about coaching is that, what's that quote? You're not the sage on the stage. You're not the sage on the stage. You're the guide by the side.
Yeah. And it's not about you. I think that's the hardest thing. It's not about me when I'm coaching.
Exactly. There are lots of other places in your life you get to shine.
You can be brilliant. Yeah.
This you dial that back here so that you can partner in a powerful way to help somebody else do the work. With the Holy Spirit being the third part of that magic. So you all would be coaching vestry teams as part of this project, and the Lilly Grant. There is some history of that through ECF. I'm their coaching consultant for the work that's being done at that level through the denomination. In fact, the diocesan coaching initiative and the congregational coaching initiative being done across the country. And so I lead that group of coaches that actually work with vestries, and have had the chance to coach myself, some diocesan staffs, to figure out what are the God-sized things they need to be working on. And so I really believe in the work that the Episcopal Diocese of Washington is investing in and now has the grant money for. And kind of the worldview I have is that in most denominational systems, that at the top, there are probably 15 or 20% of clergy leaders that are going to figure it out. They're early adopters. They kind of make it work. They figure that out. There are at least 15 or 20% at the bottom that are struggling with basic skill set, and very often angry and causing trouble and those kinds of things. And in the middle is this big group of people, probably around 60%, who went to seminary to be trained, and laity who have not been to seminary, but nobody's ever taught any of those leaders how to be transformational leaders of very sometimes culturally stuck organisms, which is what some of our churches are. And man, just to bring a creative conversation partner alongside those in the middle 60 who are capable, they're all in, they're trying to figure it out, can be the key that helps them do their work and lead to transformation. So that's probably the end of the sermon. I want to ask a question. Who here has experienced being coached or had a coach? I'd love to. Oh, okay. Sheila, do you mind sharing what was that like for you?
Well, I heard some language out of you that I hear out of him. And he is was a United Methodist pastor and a therapist, and he's always clear that he doesn't have his therapy hat on. Okay, that's clear. Yeah, so good listening, and I hear that. Tell me more. And he did the coaching through I think the same group you have trained with. So
CTI?
Yeah.
Coach Training Institute, yeah.
Yeah, Richard
The
Warren.
difference between that training and the training that we provide it leads to the same place. Mine costs $13,000.
No kidding. I've signed up for a module.
Oh, have you?
Last year, but COVID, so I didn't get to do it. But
well, the total price for this one is $2,200, so we've made it very affordable. Anyway, go ahead.
So I hear the same things. I've experienced that, and before him, Will Thompson, who was a pastor, God rest his soul, who died of early Alzheimer's, and yeah, much the same. Being held my feet to the fire about making goals, and real difference from therapy. I've done therapy.
What is the key difference?
I'm not sure.
Okay.
I'm not sure
Okay.
because I had a therapist once who encouraged me to stand up when dealing with an emotionally abusive ex-husband. And my child came through the den one day, and I'm standing on the desk. He said, "Mother, why are you standing on the desk?" I said, "Just because it makes me feel better, that's all." He said, "Mother, you're weird," and walked out of the room. But I felt so like, don't fool with me.
That's great.
It was amazing. It was amazing. Standing up works, standing on the desk even better. Just,
Good to know, Sheila. Thank you. Linda may need that. So Linda, you've had a coach. What would you add to? I'm sorry, Sheila. I don't want to cut you off. Okay, Linda, what would you add?
I would say it's the coaching I had was vocational coaching, and I think the thing that I found most powerful was she often would summarize our conversation and send it to me, just a few bullet points, and we would always start with that the next time we were gathering what I'd said I was committed to. So it was a lot of accountability, and I couldn't just say, "Oh yeah, sure, I'll do that," and then walk away from it the way you can in therapy. Just say,
oh, right. Had to do something.
Yeah, I did. Yeah, and it was the most creative listening and kind of synthesizing. It was very, very helpful for someone to make order out of some messiness. So it was helpful.
Todd, what would you add? By the way, full disclosure, Todd's in the coach training too, and he and I know each other. But you've had a coach?
Yeah, the coach helped me clarify my own values in a time of coming transition so that I could do the goal setting, set that end goal and then some of the steps that I needed to take to get there. But the clarifying of what that goal was really going to be was so important. And yeah, I'm with the training with Jennifer right now, and Chris and George. I also did life coach training like 7 or 8 years ago as a pastor. And just to mention, it is such an amazing skill to have with your parishioners, because so often we're expected to be the answer person. So when we can come alongside them as the process person, and really then empower them to have their answer and to see it and hold it clearly, it is so exciting. Because what do you do as a pastor, or as a rector and a priest, when someone comes and says, I need to quit my job? Let's pray about that. Yeah, but then to really have a framework and a skill set and tool set to deal with that with them is exciting.
Yeah. Thank you. Watching our time here, I want to just say a couple things about further things about the delineation of coaching from all the other helping modalities. And you will never hear me say that coaching is better than therapy or consulting or mentoring. Thank God for all those people. That's important work. It's just different work. And let me see if I can just in 2 minutes kind of delineate, and then Jennifer, I want to turn it back to you. But let's say Marlene is if Marlene is my mentor, I'm coming to her for experience, because she's probably had more experience than I have. And the image for a mentor and a mentee is sitting at the feet of the mentor to learn. Wisdom is dispensed. If Marlene is my therapist, Marlene is probably going to start with a question around where's the brokenness? Where are you feeling the pain? We don't start there in coaching. I mean, if that's what shows up, we don't go fishing for that. A therapist explores why we are the way we are, can do the important work of figuring out what formed us to bring us to the way we experience ourselves now. Coaching is leaning the other direction. Think of a stagecoach. That's the root of the profession. It takes you from your point A to your point B, where you are now, where you want to go. And so Marlene would, as she's my therapist, she would be probably starting here and doing work in this direction. If she's my consultant, she's probably going to give me a bunch of her answers. and if they don't work, then I can just blame her. But I'd pay her a lot of money probably to get her answers for my situation. And spiritual direction is a little bit different. It's probably the closest cousin to coaching. It's just that the work around spiritual direction is more figuring out where God is in your life, and commitments around spiritual disciplines, those kinds of things, and may or may not get to the action part with the same kind of fervor that coaching gets to. What are you going to do? What are you going to commit to? When are you going to get that done? How would you like to be held accountable? So the little nuanced difference there. So that's real quick kind of overview. We do say, we're not saying coaching's better than any of those others. We're just saying she is the newest cousin at the table of helping ministries. And Linda, she deserves to take up space alongside the others as a transformational tool. So let me see if there are questions or thoughts, and then Jennifer.
Question. So I dropped my pen. A spiritual director will fall under the category of spiritual direction? Yes.
I think so.
Okay.
The first part of your question was a spiritual
director
will fall under the work of spiritual direction.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yes.
Okay.
Yes, exactly. And there are therapists who can do this and this. and their mentors who have the skills of coaching. These delineations that I've just drawn are a little bit artificial, and there are some really good spiritual directors who can do the spiritual directing and bring some of that starch of coaching. Then what are you going to do? Todd, please.
Just to affirm and echo something Sheila said earlier, I can't tell you how many times I would say, I'm going to take my coach hat off and be your pastor for a minute, you know, because something's resonating and we need to deal with it. Yeah, I like that a lot.
Yeah. Well, I hope you've gotten kind of a quick sketch of what coaching is. And where do we go now, Jennifer?
Hey, thank you, Chris, and thank you all. I would like to just to follow up a little bit about what is coaching in the Tending Our Soil initiative, and then invite all of you to, pray about applying to the coaching. We will be hiring 4 coaches for this year, an additional 4 the following year, an additional 4 the third year. The coaching arrangement is to coach, every coach will make a commitment for 3 years to coach 3 congregations. That does not mean working with the entire congregation. That means 8 coaching sessions a year with the clergy person and a lay person, 2 people from each congregation. Okay, so 8 touch points a year for each of the 3 congregations, and then participating and supporting 4 learning labs a year. Those 3 congregations that a coach will be working with will be in a single cohort. And so you will be helping them hear one another, right? Your coaching sessions actually will be with just that one congregation. At the learning summits, those 3 congregations will be clumped together. In the event that it's in person and safely in person, they will be in the same room at the similar tables, right? And then also serving as advisor to the project director, who's me, in project refinement as we listen to our congregations and what their needs are. The coaches will receive 60 hours of training, right? It's those 60 hours are a combination of both the coursework with the Holmes coaching group plus some homework that they have you do, which some are reading and some assessments. In addition to that, the 60 hours of coaching training, there's a follow-up of mentored training, meaning once you do coach your congregations, you're not just left off on your own. You will have Chris Holmes to work with as you encounter questions and perhaps dilemmas, how to handle this particular situation. You coaches are not consultants, meaning while you're there to help the congregations work the process, we are asking our coaches to take that posture of accompaniment and listening, knowing again that those congregations are creative, resourceful, and whole. And it is your part to learn to listen, help identify learnings with them, and also help them name accountabilities, right? So that there's that partner with them, this external person that they know they're going to meet with again. But as far as having the answers, less so, right? Let me think of the coaching training. I think it's in May. In June, I think it starts May 4th. So we'll be making the applications for coaches. You can send them in at any time. We'll be doing interviews this month and next month. I'm hoping to make the decisions at the end of March so that people can set aside that time for that training of our coaches. I think, Todd, did I miss anything as far as the relationship between the coaches and the Tending Our Soil program? Do you have any questions? I'm going to drop in the chat area just the link, which has more information about coaching in the Tending Our Soil process. There's a document there that describes what the role of the coach plays, as well as how to apply, which is basically a letter of interest, your CV, and 2 references. We're looking for people with a coaching heart, as well as some congregational leadership either as a layperson or as an ordained person, we will provide you the coaching training. Chris will. Which I have to say is having gone through, and I think Todd would agree, is really excellent. It's helped us name sort of core skills, and then it's some advanced skills in coaching training. And you also have the opportunity to practice actual coaching. And so build those muscles so that they become more natural. Any questions about the role of coaches in the Tending Our Soil or how to apply?
Just one question. It's 60 hours within a period of about a month and a half. How is that spread out, and what kind of time commitment is it, just to get a sense of it?
Chris?
Good question, Paul. It's going to be twice a week on Zoom in the mornings. I think it's Tuesdays and Thursdays starting in May. There's also, we're really swamped with demand right now for people to be trained. And so I think we're going to be running an afternoon session as well. So some people won't be able to, and you can miss some of those along the way because you get credit for, the ICF gives you credit for listening to recordings of some of them. That's if you have to miss some, or you can attend the afternoon. And there's going to be another training. We do these 3 or 4 a year. So I want to add, they're part of the training, almost a third of it, almost a fourth of it, sorry, is group and team coach. It's coaching a team, coaching a group, which is going to be specifically, applicable to the work you all are doing, not just coaching individuals. And I guess this is okay to say, Jennifer, but if folks are, if you're kind of curious about getting these skills and you're not doing it through the diocese, as one of the 4 coaches, there's kind of open enrollment through our website, and there are spaces available, I think, is still in the May trainings, and they do fill up, but something that would, a lot of people go through this just to strengthen their style of leadership that tweaks a different directions, a little less top-down directive and more come alongside as the question whisperer.
I have found that flexibility to be quite useful. When a meeting would pop up in the morning, then I can make the afternoon. And then next week I can't make either morning or afternoon, so I'll be listening to the recording. I've already emailed Linda about that. So there's built-in flexibility, but it does take time. So that's about 6 hours a week for, I think, 8 weeks. Is it?
It's about 8 weeks. Yeah. We're also training right now in this group. You all are with through Ron Bird, through your denomination, training coaches of color to work with congregations of color across the denomination. So there are quite a number of priests and some laity who are doing that too.
Right. I think it would be also helpful if you think you're inclined to apply, you could shoot an email to say, hey, I'm discerning whether to apply, or expect my application. That would be very helpful.
And the hiring process, the training is a piece of the hiring. How does the compensation work? How you
Sure.
use the word hire, so
Yeah, no, absolutely, sure. So our coaches will be paid. The arrangement we are offering is $150 per coaching session with your congregation. Those last generally about an hour. And then there will be some a matter of reporting to the because I need to report to the Little League Foundation, right? Some just reporting back about very general about what the coaching was about. In some sense, those are confidential, and we'll have that conversation about what is confidential and what can be shared, and you'll have that conversation with your congregations. And then so there's $150 per coaching session with per congregation, and then in addition to that, $400 for every learning summit that you participate in.
which in the coaching world that's what I charge, $150 an hour. So that's really good. That's really good. I'll say that's great.
What does your coaching class cost if you weren't a part of this program?
$2,200, right?
2,200. Yeah.
2,200?
And then there's also, in addition to that, there's mentored training, which our coaches will receive as part of their participation in this. And that's an additional, I think, $1,500. But again, the diocese will be paying that on your behalf. Those two components, the basic training and then the basic cast plus the mentored training, will position you well to actually become a certified coach. You need, in addition to that, I get this right, Chris, 100 hours of training, right? Of coaching, practice. Plus there's a test to take. And those are the only two other components.
And the coach training, it has a reputation for being a rigorous coach training. So we don't have people struggle when it comes time to certification. We train you way above the.
Right. I mean, so right off the bat, the diocese is investing in our coaches about $3,700.
Thank you.
I need to leave because I have a coaching client in 2 minutes.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Thank you all for coming.